Let's bring in Alex Kantrowitz, founder of Big Technology. It's a newsletter and a podcast. I wasn't even going to clarify. Everybody knows. Anyway, Alex, it's great to have you here.
Great to be here.
So, first of all, to Julia's point, the concern is that there might have to be both monetary fines here, possibly changes to the app. That would probably be the biggest thing that could hurt it, right? Is if it has to go make significant changes to how people use its apps and Instagram.
Definitely. If there are structural changes to the way that that company is able to run its app, that would be massive and fairly unprecedented, I would say, in U.S. history. So that would be the ultimate bad outcome here for Meta. And there's various cascading other outcomes that I don't think that company would like either.
This is in California. Would it apply, because what they have to do for one jurisdiction, they'd have to do for all of them? Just kind of explain how this works in terms of them going on trial in Los Angeles, but how it would apply to their technology writ large.
Definitely. I mean, look, Meta could, if it wants to, do play games, but advertisers in the United States, they don't want to have a bucket of users that you can target in California and then a bucket of users that you can target in New York. Ultimately, Meta's policies and the way that the platform works is going to have to be uniform across the United States. And California, of course, is the biggest market for that company within the United States. So I don't really think that there is a way where Meta says, okay, we're just going to make these changes for California users or shut off in California like it's threatened in other jurisdictions that tried to put rules on it. I think this would be, if this ruling comes down the way that it could, in a way that forces the company to change the structure of its products, I think there's no way that you could get around doing it for the entire, doing it just one jurisdiction. I think it would have to be for the entire country.
Do you think this is Meta specific, or could it apply to a Snapchat and other apps like that?
Well, notably, Snapchat settled, and so did TikTok beforehand, because they didn't want to end up in a place that Zuckerberg is today. They didn't want to be testifying. They didn't want to have the chance to lose this case. And by the way, it's not just this case, and I think this is the most important detail. There are hundreds more along these lines that will be coming. Now, this is the landmark case because it's the first, and there's going to be precedent. And so if Meta loses, that would be really bad because it could end up getting hit with similar judgments and cases throughout the country. But ultimately, that's why you see the Snapchat and the TikTok settlements happen beforehand. Meta and YouTube did not, and we're going to see how this works out. But there could be a cascading effects in other cases, absolutely.
And in this case, the specific thing that they're being sued for is not having protections on Instagram that would have protected these users from those who were doing them harm. What is the specific thing at fault here?
That's correct. So the jury is basically going to decide whether Instagram and whether YouTube ruined a very young girl's life. And I think the one thing that's important to note here is this is very different from the antitrust world, where certain legalese and technical arguments seem to have played very well with the judges. This is in front of a jury. And these emotional conversations are really going to impact the jury. So I fully expect Meta, if it won't lose this one, I think it will lose one of these cases down the line, because these are real stories about real people told to real people, and saying, well, if you use Instagram for 16 hours, that's problematic but not addictive. Maybe that plays well in a clinical setting, but in front of a jury, I don't think it will play well at all.
I hate to make the analogy because lives are at stake here, but it reminds a little bit of chemical companies with environmental lawsuits throughout the 1900s or even before. Just reading the story about Honeywell, where, many decades after they're in their heyday, you take over a company and you have billions of dollars of kind of these issues and settlements to still deal with, and you wonder if if it would become such a chronic issue like that for big tech that you add it to the list of reasons why they're no longer appealing for investors. They have lawsuits hanging over their head. They have massive capex. They become like commodity companies because of these AI models. So I offer that observation while asking, since you mentioned YouTube, it sounds like they could also be implicated here.
I think YouTube will actually be able to fare better here, because YouTube, by the public, is seen as something where you kind of laid back and you watch, similar to a TV network, similar to Netflix, where Facebook feels much more active, much more short form, where that addiction behavior can feel, and the loops that you get put in can feel much more visceral than a YouTube, which, maybe you sit down and you watch 30 minutes of Mr. Beast. Is that the same as watching 30 minutes of Reels? In a jury's mind, that could be very different. But I think you're totally right that this is going to be something that is going to follow Meta through the years. They could have made some product decisions where they were very strict about not letting young people on the platform, where they were very strict about the targeting and the different addictive features that they might not like the word addictive, but
right.
we all know what they are. Those type of features, maybe they could have put walls up ahead of time, but they didn't, and that's why they're in the position today. And sentiment through the country, by the way, is very negative towards Meta in terms of the way that people use its products and social media. I think 71% of people surveyed in a recent poll by the Wall Street Journal said that social media should be banned for kids 16 years and younger.